Welcome to Everyday Simple Somatics, a podcast dedicated to helping you find healing through your body's natural wisdom. I'm Dr. Christine Baker, and I'll be your host. So I wonder if you are a person who jumps at every single sound. Does a door closing make your heart race? Or does someone walking up behind you send you into a little bit of a panic? Maybe you're even constantly scanning your environment, always sitting on the edge of your seat, always waiting for the next thing that's going to startle you. I'm going to tell you something you already know. Living like this is exhausting. When you have a hyperactive startle response, it's like having your alarm system in your home going off all day long. Your body never gets to rest. You might even feel kind of embarrassed about how jumpy you are, or maybe even frustrated that I can't just relax. I want you to know this isn't your fault. Your startle response is doing exactly what it was trained to do, protect you. But we can help it learn that it doesn't need to be so vigilant anymore. Today, I'm going to teach you the sequence to help you settle after you have a startle experience so that we can start to retrain your nervous system, that it can feel safe again after these little moments. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Christine Baker. I am a licensed professional counselor with 13 years of experience in trauma therapy. I am also a somatic experiencing practitioner, which just means that I am a person that believes strongly that mental health healing happens when we address the stuck places in our body, hence the creation of this podcast. My hope is that these short episodes give you practical skills on the exact symptoms that you are wrestling with in your daily life so that you can build rhythms of nervous system care until caring for your nervous system becomes second nature. And so if that sounds like something that might be interesting to you, I want to invite you to hit that like and subscribe button on whatever platform you are currently listening or watching. All of those little clicks really do help other people find this information, and I so appreciate it. So let's talk about for a second the problem of a hyperactive startle response. So some examples of this: maybe you jump every time your phone buzzes. Maybe you can't watch movies with sudden loud noises. Maybe you avoid restaurants because the sound of plates clattering sends your heart into a tizzy. Maybe you can't concentrate at work because you're always listening for footsteps in the hallway, anticipating someone surprising you in the doorway. People may say to you to just relax, you're too jumpy, and you wish you could explain to them, this isn't a choice. My body's just reacting before I even know what's happening. And when we live like that, we are exhausted all the time because our system never gets to rest. You may even start to feel irritable or snappy with people that you love. You may have trouble sleeping because every creak in the house wakes you up. You may feel like you can't be present in conversations because part of your attention is always monitoring the surroundings, which can make you feel like you're missing out on life, right? Because I'm always bracing for the next thing. And here's what I think is maybe the hardest part of all of it. Intellectually that most of those sounds and movements aren't actually dangerous. The logical part of your brain can see that, but your body sometimes doesn't care about logic. It reacts anyway. And then you feel frustrated with yourself for not being able to control it. And so if this is you, I want you to hear very clearly before we get into the practice, your body is not broken. It is not defective. It learned this way to respond for a reason because probably at some point in your life, being hypervigilant actually kept you safe. And so your nervous system is doing exactly what it was trained to do. We just need to help teach it that it can, we're safe now. We can relax a little bit. So let's talk about the science for a second about why your body's doing this. So the startle response is one of the fastest reflexes in the body. It bypasses conscious thinking entirely. When your nervous system detects something sudden or unexpected, a structure in your brain called the amygdala fires off this immediate alarm signal. And that is going to trigger your sympathetic nervous system. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I invite you to go back to the first 10 episodes of this podcast are all kind of the foundations of nervous system work. And it will talk about your sympathetic and your parasympathetic nervous system. But your sympathetic nervous system is going to flood your body with stress hormones. It's going to tense all those muscles. It's going to prepare you to respond to the danger. And all of that happens in milliseconds. So faster than me being able to consciously think, oh, that's just a door opening. And so in a healthy, regulated nervous system, what happens is I startle, my prefrontal cortex, that rational part of my brain, assesses, oh, that's not dangerous. It's just a door opening. And so then once it determines that there's no real danger, it signals your parasympathetic nervous system to take over, which is like that settle, calm down, rest and digest system. So then your heart rate comes back down, your muscles relax, and you're settled within about 30 seconds to a minute. But when you have experienced trauma or chronic stress or grew up in an unpredictable environment, the system gets dysregulated. Dr. Bessel van der Kolk's research shows that trauma actually changes the structure and function of the amygdala. It becomes hyperreactive, and so it fires off alarms at a much lower threshold. And at the same time, the prefrontal cortex becomes less active. So it's not as effective at calming everything down. And so what this means practically is your alarm is real sensitive and your brakes are having trouble working. And most likely, you're starting at a higher baseline of activation. And so when something does startle you, you're going to spike even higher and you're going to stay activated longer because that brake system is having trouble bringing you back down. And this is really important to understand because every time you startle, and you don't complete that cycle to settle back down, meaning you don't kind of help your body move through and release that activation, it reinforces the pattern. Your nervous system learns, see, we really do need to be so vigilant all the time. But the hopeful thing is, and this is where this exercise comes in, neuroplasticity means that your nervous system can learn new patterns. And so the practice I want to teach you today works by helping you complete those activation cycles, which teaches your body, I'm startled, but I'm actually safe and I can settle now. And with repetition, which means consistent, repeated practice, your brain can literally retrain that startle response. And so now it can become more proportional and your system can settle more quickly. So this is a sequence to help you settle. And I would encourage you to do this immediately after you have a startle response. But I think it could also be used as like a rhythm part of your day. It's going to combine some gentle movement, some breath, some self-touch, and orienting, all as a part of this sequence. And those are all techniques to signal safety to your nervous system. And I would say, the key here is to really practice this as many times as possible when you startle. Consistency, rhythms, these are all things that retrain the nervous system. Okay, so like I said, you can practice this right after you startle, or you can you can practice this right now, even if nothing startled you. But if you want to really test it out, set a timer on your phone with like a loud alarm to go off in like 10 seconds or something. And that way you can really practice it with that little jump that happens inside. So let's say something just startled you. Maybe it was that door slamming or the alarm that you just set or a loud noise. So you're noticing your heart is racing, your muscles are tense, you maybe even are shaking a little bit. And so first step in this sequence is let's just acknowledge what happened. So place a hand on your chest and a hand on your belly. Y'all know by now, this is one of my favorite kind of self-holds. And I want you to say to yourself out loud or silently, I startled. That makes sense. My body is doing its job. Startled, that makes sense. My body is doing its job. And this is really important because often we just shame ourselves for being jumpy. Instead, we are going to thank our body for protecting us, and then we're going to assist it in settling. So once you've acknowledged what's happened and validated it, we're going to shake it off, literally, just like Taylor Swift says. So if you can, stand up. And you could do this sitting too, but I stood. And I want to invite you to just gently shake out your hands and shake out your arms, almost like you're shaking water off if you got out of a pool. And so shake for about 10 or 15 seconds. You can even do your legs if you want to. And this might feel silly, but like I've said before, this is what animals do to instinctively discharge activation after a threat. And if that doesn't feel right, just let your body do what it naturally wants to do. So you may have an impulse to make a sound like an exhale or a sigh. Let yourself do that. You may even have an impulse to like kind of run in place a little bit. Let yourself do that. We're just allowing our system to release the activation that came into our body when that noise or person behind us walked up or whatever. And so once you feel like you've kind of shaken off that little extra, I want to invite you to ground yourself. Okay. So put your feet flat on the floor. If you're standing, you could even bend your knees a little bit. If you're sitting, just press your feet firmly into the ground. I want you to feel the ground beneath you, even press down a little bit. Feel it press back. Your body needs to know, I'm here, I'm on solid ground, I am safe right now. And once you have a sense of that, we are going to do a little breath work to engage that parasympathetic nervous system. So remember, part of the problem is we're startling and we keep going up without settling back down. So this is something that you can do to help bring in that settle down system. And so what we're going to do is we're going to breathe in for 4 through the nose. We're going to hold for 4, and then we're going to exhale for 6. And that longer exhale is key. It activates your vagus nerve and signals safety to your body. And so I want to invite you to do this a few times, okay? So breathe in for 4, hold, and exhale. In, hold, exhale. One more time, breathe in, hold, exhale. Y'all, my whole spine just feels like it just settled into place in a beautiful way. Then finally, we are going to use some gentle touch to just soothe the nervous system a little bit. Okay. And this can be whatever you need it to be. It could be like a hand holding. I often like to do like a little self hug and just kind of like like one arm over the other with a little gentle hug. And then if it feels right, even like allowing your hands to go slowly up and down from your elbow to your shoulder. And as you do that, you may even add some of those phrases we were saying earlier. I am safe now. That was just a sound. I am safe now. And I'm even noticing I'm swaying a little bit. And that combination of that gentle touch with like the verbalization of reassurance of safety tells your nervous system the threat has passed, right? And then finally, we're just going to orient to safety around us. And this is really important. Your nervous system needs evidence that you're actually safe right now. And so I want to invite you to just look around the room. And this isn't going to be a fast, scanning for threats. We're going to look around real slow, real gentle. And just see if there's anything that feels nice to look at. Allowing your eyes to go wherever they want to go. And once you find something that feels pleasant or neutral, just allowing your eyes to rest there for a few seconds, kind of allowing your nervous system to take in those visual cues of like, oh, this is peaceful, this is nice. And so we're literally teaching your body to shift from that threat scanning to noticing what's okay, what's resourcing in this moment. And I'd love to invite you to just take one final breath, noticing how your body feels now compared to right after that startle. And if you still feel activated, that's okay. You can do the sequence again. I think sometimes it takes a few times going through it, especially at first. And yeah, like I said, I think this is something that would be so helpful to use as many times as possible when you are startling. We want to consistently show the nervous system the pathway towards settling. And like I said, I think you could also do this as like a rhythm, maybe in the morning to create like a calmer baseline for the day, or before bed to help your nervous system settle for sleep. And I think over time, and I'm talking like weeks, maybe even months of consistent practice, you should notice that you startle less easily. And when you do startle, because all of us do, right? You're able to come back down faster. So it's like that baseline level of vigilance should decrease. And finally, just as a reminder, that jumpy kind of vigilant nervous system part, it kept you safe when you needed it. So we're not angry at it. And now we just get to kind of bring that sweet little part along into the present and teach it doesn't have to work so hard anymore. You're safe enough to settle. You're safe enough to rest. So I hope that this has been helpful. And if it has, I'd love to invite you once more to just like and subscribe on whatever platform you're currently watching or listening. If you want to dive in deeper to somatic practices like this one, I'd love to invite you to join the Somatic Wellness Collective. This is a monthly subscription community where we explore nervous system regulation through on-demand classes, live Q&As, guest interviews, movement practices, workbook exercises, all the things. Perfect spot for all the nervous system nerds. And so if you are interested in that, I'd love to invite you to jump down to the show notes and check it out. And then finally, I just want to thank you for being here. Remember, your body has innate wisdom. All we have to do is learn how to listen to it, and that's what I'm here for. I'll see you next time.